What is U.S. immigration detention? Immigration detention is the policy of the Department of Homeland Security, detaining non-citizens in federal or contracted jails during their removal proceedings. The 1996 laws also established a new procedure called expedited removal that allows immigration inspectors to summarily remove immigrants arriving without proper documentation. This is done without a hearing, and detention is mandated for the time it takes to remove that person from the United States. Asylum seekers and people claiming to have status in the United States are held without bond until they have established a credible fear of return to their country or until their status is determined.
Immigration detainees are civil detainees and are protected by the Fifth Amendment. According to Jones v. Blanas and Youngberg v. Romeo, since immigration detainees are civil detainees and detained against their will, they are entitled to better conditions than pre-trial criminal detainees and more considerate conditions of confinement than criminals whose conditions are set to punish. If conditions are similar to or worse than that of a pre-trial detainee or a convicted prisoner, then those conditions are unconstitutional.
Detention centers in Arizona, and she found rampant sexual abuse. In our experience, people have just been flat out denied medical attention. So I don't know, this is a question of mine that I have to really look into, is whether they have a right to medical attention, because in my experience it's just flat out denied. I studied many cases across the country where people had died from being denied medical care in detention, and then it's investigated and there's a lot of media attention because it's just awful. And in those cases, there is a doctor on staff, but they were just put in, you'll look at records of a person filing a grievance and saying, I'm in extreme pain, I need to see a doctor, and you'll see the date, and it wasn't 3 months until the next communication, and this disease is just festering in their bodies, and then it's too late in some cases.
For me personally, my biggest fear is just retaliation. Is that having no access to medical care, and that if you ask for it, there's a good chance that you can get transferred. Like the one case she's talking about that we know of firsthand, getting put in solitary confinement as a result of it. So for me, that's a big issue. Before you even get to the fact that the disease itself can progress and you don't have medical care.
I would agree with that. It's the retaliation. Also the fact that you could be just denied, but those two things combined are...
But that's kind of part of being American anyway, is no medical care if you're born, that's just the way it is.
Immigration detention centers are violating the Eighth Amendment. These detention centers do not provide adequate living conditions to the detainees held in custody, a punishment that is too harsh for someone whose only crime is living in the U.S. without documentation.